Hey everyone, Bobby Holland here. Welcome to another episode of SEO Secrets. Today I wanted to share very quickly a question that I received, and the answer that I gave to this question, I used an analogy that I've never used before. So I like to use analogies to help explain things with SEO. I think it's helpful to use analogies, but this time I use an analogy that I've never used before. And when I explained it, I looked back and I was like, wait, did I actually just use that as an analogy? So anyway, I thought it was, I thought it was funny, but I'm kind of a geek like that. But anyway, wanted to share it with you. So the question was, why would a site owner no index certain pages within their site? Okay, so that's a fair question, right? And the person, I don't know, didn't know their level of SEO expertise or technical knowledge, things of that nature. It was a simple question, why would site owners actually no index certain pages within their site? So I went ahead and I answered that question, and the first part of the answer I basically said there was really dozens, maybe even hundreds of different reasons why a site owner would no index certain pages within their site, which is true. There's probably dozens or hundreds of different causes or reasons or scenarios where a website owner would no index pages. However, I went on to say the best reason, in my opinion, to no index pages, and it's a reason we've actually used and implemented, is to go into a site and purposely no index low value or low commercially valuable type pages. So no index things like maybe the contact us page or an admin type related page or a policy page, or I don't know, pages within your site that you would not consider top tier, commercially relevant, market value type pages. All the other pages within your site are potential pages to no index. And the analogy that I used was a flowing river. So imagine you had this really powerful flowing river, and let's say this flowing river provided energy. Somehow the river produced energy for a nearby town. Okay, so the analogy of no indexing pages would be if this river had like leakage or channels or small little streams that kind of broke off from the river, and maybe these leakage points or these streams, the water that was leaking out or streaming out, it wasn't relevant. It wasn't going anywhere that added any value. So maybe the owners of the river, so to speak, or the town came in and they created dams along the river so as to prevent the leakage and to prevent these side streams from happening. And by doing so, which is the creation of the dams is the equivalent of no indexing certain pages. So by doing so, you shore up the power and the electric generation power potential of the river. By creating these dams, you prevent the leakage. That in turn concentrates the power capacity of the river to just the river. So in your website, if you have low value, low relevant type pages that are indexed, being crawled and indexed in Google, here's what happens. So let's say your website, being the analogy of the river, your website has this total aggregate level of authority, okay? And within your website, let's say you have 5 high-value top-tier pages, and then you have, maybe 3 or 5 or 10 low commercially relevant, low commercial value type pages. So your website as a whole has this total aggregate authority level, and it's going to flow to all of the if all of the pages are set to be indexed, that total aggregate authority of your site is going to flow to all of the pages. However, if you come in and index those low value, I don't want to say irrelevant pages, but low value from a commercial standpoint, if you index those pages, you would then be shoring up that total aggregate authority level of your site and concentrating it to flow to your homepage and just to these top 5 commercially relevant pages. Okay, so anyway, that is the answer that I gave of why a site owner would no index certain pages within the site. I think there's a lot, probably hundreds, thousands of different reasons why a site owner would do it. But from an SEO standpoint, from an authority, shoring up authority to make sure that your site is channeling the maximum amount of authority to your most relevant, commercially viable pages, that is where you would go in and no index those low value pages. And back to my analogy, it's kind of like a river that by the flowing of the river, it's providing power to a city, but you have these streams or these points of leakage, so to speak, along the way. You would come in and you would dam up those points of the streams or where it's leaking. By damming it up, you're shoring up the power of that river to the point of the river, the main river that's actually producing the power. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was a great question. And to be honest, first time I've ever used an analogy of a river and dams and leakage and streams to explain something relevant to the SEO authority of a site. So it was kind of an interesting experience. And anyway, that's it. I hope it was helpful. Thank you again for listening to SEO Secrets, and we will talk to you.